All right. So, good evening and welcome to our episode 25. I can't believe we already at 25. So, as always, let's start with our gratitude attitude. So, please gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, relax all your muscles. Take one more deep breath. And this time, completely let yourself go. Now, think of one thing which you are thankful for that happened to you in last 1 week. Once you have identified that, think about why you are thankful. And now let's set it free. If you are by yourself, say it out loud what you are thankful for and why. If you are with someone, tell it to each other. Okay, so we have been discussing inherent existence for the past 2 weeks. It's a very deep topic. If this is your first time hearing about it after the session, I strongly ask you to look at the videos from the last 2 weeks. We'll just continue on this topic for one more session to make sure that we have good understanding of this topic before we move on to the next subject. Inherent existence means existence as the object's basis of imputation. Sounds like a word vomit to me. But what it refers to is this false idea that any entity can exist independently. Every characteristic defining an entity arises dependently from things that are not the things being identified. You cannot have an object that is independent of its parts, causes, and conditions, or mind that perceives it. In other words, all objects are either imputed existence or dependent existence. Things do exist, for sure, just not in the way they appear to be existing. When we say things lack inherent existence, all we are saying is that they don't exist by themselves. They're existing dependent on other factors. Let's look at an example of a tree. All of us love to go watch fall foliage, right? Come September, October, We start driving and go to mountains, look at these beautiful colors. A tree changes during the different seasons, right? Why does it change? It changes due to being set up dependent on other factors, such as weather. That means it's constantly changing. If a tree were to be inherently existent, it would never change. It would stay the same color with fruits and flowers all the time. It won't be affected by weather or anything else for that matter. But we know that's not the case. Another example I'll give you, a friend of mine used to have anxiety issues. He would be in a car in a rush hour going to his office and he would get upset about the traffic. About 10 years ago, we had a very interesting discussion about this. We were just sitting at a party. He says, Nirav, I'm having this, that. So I asked him that, would you consider just ignoring the traffic around him and focus on music or something during his drive? And he said, well, that's not me. He says, that is not my personality. And I said, maybe you should consider changing. He took that as an offense. He said, that is not my identity. How can I change who I am? These are true facts. Okay. So I just let it go. We were at a party, nothing major going on. Fast forward 10 years, and this guy has changed considerably. Things don't bother him as much in traffic. He adapted. What he thought was his identity changed. 10 years ago, he thought that was inherent existence, right? This is me. How can I change? Today, it's clear that it was not him because he has changed. Let's look at another example. Have you ever been absorbed in a movie? I know I certainly have. If it's a well made, gripping movie and you are fully captivated by the plot, you can feel everything being real. You even get a physical reaction if there is an unexpected event like a gunshot or something, as if it just happened in front of our eyes. Even though we know we are watching a movie, at that moment we think it is inherently existent. We feel everything that is happening as real, even though we know that it is just fiction. Let's talk about dreams. Have you ever had a vivid dream? I get a lot of those. Like something so real in your dream. When that happens, you think it's real. All of a sudden it wakes you up, right? You saw that elephant or plane or whatever you saw in your dream. It felt so real while it was still a dream. Once you woke up, you realized it was just a dream. It didn't exist. But while you were in a dream, it felt like it was inherently existence. And we'll cover this topic in a couple of weeks called Life is Like a Dream. Uh, but again, the point is, it's not inherent, even though we thought it was. For last 2 weeks, we talked about this example. I want to give it again. Um, Someone asked 2 weeks ago, if a car is running toward me, it's real. How can I ignore it? And I'm not saying we ignore it. But if you're sitting on your driveway, next to you, another person is sitting who's blind as well as deaf. That person cannot hear anything, that person cannot see anything. And a car is running at you. For you, the car is real. You can see it. You can probably feel the fear of it. But the person who is sitting next to you, who's deaf and blind, for that person, the car doesn't exist because it's not in their experience. Everything we consider existence, inherently existent, are things which are in our experience. And that comes through our senses, our five senses. These are physical in nature, right? Science tells us that what you see, that's because the light reflects in your eyes, your retina sends a signal to your brain. So what you see is actually in your mind. What you hear is in your mind, even though it feels outside. So we'll do a longer Q&A session today, if you like, so that we can clear up any questions on this subject. This is a profound subject, and I would like all of you to contemplate the subject. Try to come up with your own examples to make sense for you in your experience. There's one of those things, once it clicks, it just makes it so easier. But until then, it sounds very difficult. So we all have our own pace, but just try to think about it every now and then. So in our meditation practice today, we'll use this technique called black and white meditation. We've done this once before. As always, at first we'll settle down in our hearts. Then we'll imagine that all of our stress is gathered at our heart in the form of thick black smoke. When we breathe in, we'll imagine bright light getting into our nostrils. When we breathe out, we'll breathe out all the thick smoke of stress that we imagine at our heart. So that's the plan. Let's get into a comfortable uh, position, meditation position. So gently get into a cross legged position. If you're sitting in a chair, just make sure your legs are straight. Keep your back straight and upright. Close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. Any stress we have accumulated in our jaws, that way will disappear. Now, take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax yourself. Bring your attention to the sensation of your breath at your nostrils. Feel the cool air when you breathe in. Feel slightly warmer air breathing out. Focus your attention on your breath for a minute or so on your own. Settle down at your heart. Bring your attention at your heart. Everything that happened before this moment, just imagine, melts into light and disappears in a vast space. Everything that is yet to happen hasn't happened anyway, so no point thinking about it. Imagine everyone you know, all living beings, animals, humans, just dissolves into light and disappears in the vast space. Now, imagine all the stress in your life gathers at your heart in the form of thick black smoke. When you breathe in bright light. When you breathe out thick smoke of stress. On your own, try about 4 or 5 times. Breathing in bright light, breathing out thick smoke of stress. Enjoy the natural peace at your heart. Identify with this natural peace. This is me. I am naturally peaceful just like that. If you find yourself thinking, just come back to natural peace at your heart. If you can't stop your thoughts, go back to sensation of your breath for about 10 breaths. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Okay, so we talked about having a longer Q&A session. So let's open it up for questions. No takers today?
So do you, Rajbhai, quick questions.
Sure.
Do you think what? Yeah, I'm just trying to understand this topic. So, um, is it something like whatever we see is all mind game?
So whatever we see happens in our head, right? So for example, when we die, right, the world we know stops. So from our perspective, the world stops. The world doesn't stop per se,
Mhm.
right? But our perspective, that world has stopped. So if we start understanding that everything is based on our perspective, right? For example, some if we think that this person is bad, right? And we treat like that person inherently bad. But there must be some people who like that person, whose point of view is different than ours. For them, that person is not bad, right? So that means no person is inherently good or bad. It's our experience which defines that.
Mm.
And if we start thinking like that, then we'll stop attachment. See, idea about all these things, Chirag, is to stop attachment, which we have so heavily, like people have attachment to their money, to their things, to their family, what have you. We all do, right?
Mhm.
We need to reduce it, eventually stop it, but at least start reducing it, right? um, for example, if someone loses $100,000, right? We probably don't. I mean, we'll talk about it and say, I feel for you, but that's about it. We really don't feel for it, right?
Yeah.
But if you lose $100,000, right, it affects you personally, and it shouldn't,
Mm.
right? I mean, $100,000 is a lot of money, but besides, the point is that attachment, if we start reducing, if we start getting that, hey, you know what, nothing's inherently existence.
Mm.
We start thinking like that, our attachment goes down. And when our attachment goes down and compassion goes up, right? If those two things happen simultaneously, that's where the sweet spot is.
That makes sense.
Another question you had, you said two questions.
No, that's it for now.
Okay.
One was hard to find.
Okay. Sapan,
Thank
you
you.
had some question.
Jagruti had a question.
Go ahead, Jagruti.
No, I think I was trying to see how you can apply this to a real setting, and I
Right.
think your response to Chirag Bhai helped kind of apply with that.
So I'll tell you, some funny thing happened. Okay. um, I've been trying to make sure that my attachment goes down, especially to material things, beyond, for sure. And I did some stupid things last couple of weeks, and I lost some money. And I wasn't upset as I was expecting to be. So I thought, whatever is happening, it seems to be working, right? Uh, I was able to just shake it off and move on without, holding on too long. And if we start practicing that is very, very important. One other thing I would mention, Jagruti, since Dikri is joining meditation, um, this gratitude attitude we do, at the beginning, try doing that on a dinner table every night, because that is something which will stay with them for rest of their lives. And once you start, you know looking for positive things, looking for things to be thankful for, right? Life's perspective changes. So it's very important for the kids. So if you have time, I would strongly encourage you to try that on a daily basis.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Rahul, welcome. You have any questions?
Uh, I, I do, but again, I have not heard the previous sessions, so may
Go
not
ahead.
be right question. But
Go ahead. That's fine.
and in the example where you said, right, where it's someone's perspective and the goal is to get detached,
Right.
but at the same time, if you, again, I'm just thinking other side, right? That 100,000 could have meant a lot for someone else,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. It's all
So
relative.
again,
I get
it's
that.
a relative as a perspective. again, I'm not putting but I'm saying if a family member loses, let's say 10,000, right?
Right.
And that was their whole month of income, right? From the perspective of a wife or a kid,
right,
that is a big thing versus if that person becomes like, hey, what? It's just the money I lost. So
I get
I'm trying to balance. There's a balance there, and I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so let me address
when that comes in.
That's a very good point. Let me address that. It's all relative. I get that for sure, right? I'm not minimizing that. That's why I said $100,000 is a lot of money, right? Let's say someone loses 1 month of their income. Okay, that income is gone for sure. If there's some way to get it back, of course you try, regardless of who you are, right?
Yep.
But if there's no way to get it back, that means if it is gone, at that point, you must make sure that it doesn't disturb your inner peace. Because two things happen. First, it's gone, but you learn lesson, don't do it again for sure, right? And second thing is, if it loses your inner peace, now all of a sudden, not only the money is gone, but you're affecting your health. You're affecting your relationships because once the person is disturbed, right, the people around them are affected. That relationship is affected, right? They can see that they're not idiots, right? They can see, yes, you are upset and you're not yourselves, you're not playing with them, whatever you may be doing with them, you are not doing that, right? So sooner we learn to lose that attachment, better off we are. Now it takes a lot of mindfulness and peace of mind you need to develop, right? Because we are all so churned up uh, to get to that point. But if you start doing this 10x, right? 10 times a day, 10 breaths, 10 deep breaths, right? Your mind will start going there without even you knowing about it. So I agree with you 100% it's relative. But regardless of it is relative or not, if that thing is gone and if it keeps bothering you, it will continue to affect your life in negative way beyond that money just lost. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah. So basically, what I'm hearing is, if you lost X, and if you keep worrying, you might lose Y, and Y might be mental peace and other things. So at least cut your loss at X, but also don't repeat the same thing also, right? So I don't want to take a lesson that X is gone no matter, but if you don't learn from that lesson also, then it's wrong.
You're stupid. I can't help it, right?
Exactly. So it's not detached, but also learn from those,
of course,
at the same time.
Of course, don't put yourself in the same position again, right? That much we must do, right?
Right.
We must learn that, hey, I lost this. It's okay. I lost this. I'm not going to worry about it. But if I go the same stupid thing tomorrow, then I'm the biggest idiot out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Makes sense now.
Okay. Perfect. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm going to stop.